Secretly releasing within the game of Call of Duty World at War on November 11th, 2008 as an Easter egg after completing the campaign, Nacht der Untoten was the introduction to an experimental new game mode made by the team at Treyarch called Nazi Zombies. This game mode was to take the first-person shooter genre style that Call of Duty was known for and turn it on its head. This was because instead of completing objectives like in the campaign or fighting against an opposing team to win a multiplayer match, you are instead placed into a single location with the objective of surviving for as long as you alone or with a team of up to 1 to 3 other players could. When Treyarch originally created this mode, they never expected it to go beyond their offices and become a part of the game because of the serious and realistic nature that the Call of Duty series was known for. This was especially true with World at War since it was made to be the most realistic and brutal portrayal of World War II not only in the series but also to its contemporaries. This brought up the question of how would an out-of-nowhere zombies mode fare in a game that sought itself to be the most realistic shooter on the market. Would it become a forgotten one-off experiment, or would it become so popular that it would become a staple of the series? Let's find out. You and your fellow soldiers have survived a plane crash and upon waking up are attacked by a horde of Nazi zombies. You all then seek shelter in a nearby small and abandoned bunker with the intention of fighting off the endless waves of the undead for as long as you can. The characters are 4 nameless, silent, generic soldiers, which for the first map is forgivable. But having said that, I could also make the argument that since they are like this, that you could potentially do a self-insert onto them for it to seem like you're the one fighting off the undead masses until your last breath, which makes the game feel much more tense and immersive. With World at War, I feel that Treyarch tried to prioritize making maps as scary and eerie as possible as opposed to their later Zombies games where these elements took a backseat to more adventurous and comedically driven maps. Nacht der Untoten is a perfect example of this, with a grey and bleak color palette, genuinely creepy looking zombies with unnatural movement, unnerving ambient noise, a constant fog that covers the entirety of the outside area, and just the general feeling of being both trapped and alone makes this, in my opinion, easily one of the scariest maps Treyarch has ever made to date. The map is very simplistic. There are only 3 rooms, 3 doors to open, no perks, and only 1 mystery box spawn. The spawn room is the biggest of the 3, meaning that there is lots of room to run around in, but that there is also a lot of windows that the zombies can come in from, making this the most hectic area to be in when combined with the large amount of clutter and walls blocking your path. The help room in contrast is a much more open area that is easy to maneuver through, with all clutter sticking to the walls and the only real obstacles being the support beams in the middle. In here you will find both the mystery box and a special radio, but more on those later. Continuing upstairs, you will find yourself going down narrow hallways, making this area not viable for treading through, so instead you are better off holding out in the strategic areas at the end of those corridors. Now let's move on to what else this map introduces, such as the points and wall buy system. Yes, instead of getting to choose your starting weapons with the zombies dropping them, you must get enough points by killing zombies to buy the weapons you want. Like the M1A1 carbine rifle for 600 points or the Thompson submachine gun for 1200 points, or instead of playing it safe, you could always try your luck at the mystery box for 950 points a roll. The mystery box works exactly as it sounds. The box will reward you with a randomly selected weapon ranging from the much sought after MG42 to the Springfield bolt-action rifle that can't even kill a zombie with a headshot in round 1. There are also the power-ups that give you an extra edge in the fight for your life. These include insta-kill, max ammo, double points, and a nuke that will wipe out all zombies that are currently spawned in. And finally, this map also introduces us to the wonderful world of the Wonder Weapons, which as it sounds are not your average weapon. The weapon to introduce us to this world is the ray gun, an awesome science fiction shooter from straight out of a comic book. It's able to annihilate zombies with its heat-powered green rays, which are so powerful that they emit a mini explosion when hitting a zombie or a surface, which means that you have to be careful when using it because if you're close enough to these explosions they could hurt you too. One final note about this and all future Wonder Weapons is that until Black Ops 2 the only way to obtain them is by getting them out of the mystery box. Since this is the first map, there is only one Easter egg to speak of. This of course is the radio located within the help room to the right of the mystery box, which is activated when you knife it. When knifed, it will play music that could be heard when standing close to it to give your team some jams to listen to while fighting off the undead. Since Nacht der Untoten is the introduction of a brand new game mode, you think that it would be piss easy with tutorials at every corner, overpowered weapons, lots of health, and a slow progression of difficulty. Well, think again. The game plops you into the map with only a pistol and no indication on what to do or where the zombies are coming from, while also having only 2 hits before you go down. Yup, it's all up to you to figure out the best way to survive. Surviving tends to come down to different strategies within each map based around their unique designs, such as Whether it's easier to camp and hold out an area with your teammates, or to have each of them run a train of zombies in separate areas of the map, what doors to open and not open, where the zombies spawn at, and how reliable the wonder weapons are. As for Nacht, there are only a few strategies to get to a high round. The first of which being the most popular, camping on the overlook upstairs, the second one being running a train in the help room with a flamethrower, and the third running a train in the spawn room with a flamethrower. Notice how none of these strategies rely on the usage of the wonder weapon of the map, the ray gun, but rather the flamethrower. This is because for as cool as the ray gun is, it unfortunately is not a reliable weapon, because after round 22, it isn't a one-hit kill anymore, it can only create crawlers. Combine that with it having a limited amount of ammo and the rays having massive splash damage, which is a huge area of effect, which can easily lead to unwanted downs, and you can see why you'd want to stay away from this weapon. The flamethrower, on the other hand, does have infinite ammo, which allows you to slowly chip away at the zombies' health, but also massacre them during an insta-kill, but be careful, this weapon can leave lingering flames that can hurt you too. Due to these reasons, plus its small and cramped map design, as well as not having many of the luxuries of later maps, Nacht is easily one of the hardest maps ever made, and even more so if you play with teammates. Finally, we have to discuss the only part of Treyarch's design for this game mode that wasn't intentional, the horrendous collision detection. If you get close to a zombie, they have the power to not only suck you in with their attacks, but you could also end up inside them, which more or less will result in an instant down. Now, since I believe that the bad collision is a byproduct of how the players and zombies were modeled, means that this problem spans throughout the entirety of Nazi Zombies. So expect to see this problem rear its ugly little head for the rest of the maps in this game, as it unintentionally makes every map much more harder than they already are. As mentioned before, there is only one Easter egg relating to music, which is the radio. The music it plays is all directly taken from the campaign, which, to reiterate what I said about it in my World at War review, is that the music is very intense and fits right along with the gameplay, while also utilizing the appropriate instruments for each army, creating two distinct types of music for each side. There is also what I guess you can call the mystery box lullaby, which seems to be a string of randomly played piano notes while it cycles through the weapons. There also is the music that plays after you die, which is a small snippet from Lullaby for a Dead Man, which started the tradition of having the next map's Easter egg song played during the game over screen. The only other music to note are the now iconic round ending and round starting sound cues. Although also being borrowed from the campaign, I believe that these cues were perfectly chosen, with the end of the round having those awesome heavy guitar riffs to make you feel like a badass for surviving another round, to the angelic chorus to get you pumped for the next round. So to answer the question of how this game mode fared in the ultra-realistic climate of World at War is that it fared greatly. Nacht der Untoten was a huge success as the introduction map to a new game mode with its very simplistic nature and feel, easing players in so they could figure out the mechanics of both the map and the new game mode as a whole. As for my personal feelings on the map, I'd say that in a vacuum this map is great, but when in comparison to the later maps, there is just nothing here but survival. No Easter egg or side quests to do. Now don't get me wrong, I love the survival aspect of this game mode, which does work well enough on its own, but when it's the only thing to do, it can get pretty boring and repetitive, doing the same strategies over and over again each round with nothing in between to break it up. Having said that, the map today, although being bare bones and very difficult, is still fun to play all these years later. Nazi Zombies as a whole would go on to become so popular that not only would World at War have an update to add the game mode to the main menu, barring the requirement of needing to complete the campaign, it also at times had more people playing than multiplayer. But of course, its popularity didn't automatically mean that this game mode was to become a permanent part of the Call of Duty series. It was up to the heads of Activision if they wanted the developers at Treyarch to drum up more maps. And so, players eagerly awaited for the news on Map Pack 1 to see if their new favorite Zombies experience would be returning or if it would be thrown to the curb and forgotten about. Thanks for watching.